Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Good Trouble. If you are wondering who we have here today, we have not me, but Mr. Voorhees, Mr. Voorhees, Denzel Walls. Before we move any further, I want to let you know that Good Trouble is designed to give you thought-provoking information, educational and engaging topics that engaging in educational topics that will, allow those of our listeners to be able to gain something away from this discussion. So before we move, I need you to do one thing for me. If you see your like button, if you see your share button, please do so because we want somebody to know that Mr. Voorhees is here with us. I don't want to introduce him because his accolades are so great and the list is so long. So you know me, I'm Demetrius Do Mr. Do. I am the experiential learning coordinator here at Voorhees College and also the international program coordinator. So I'm going to move out the way. Mr. Walls, could you please let the people know who you are today, the seventh Mr. VC?
First of all, hello, VC family and all the viewers. I'm happy to be on the Good Trouble podcast once again. And I go by Denzel Walls. I am the seventh Mr. Voorhees College. And among the many things I've done, one of my favorite things I would say is being a White House scholar, uh, being a part of a study abroad thing with Planting the Seed International, being a VITA tax preparer, just several different things.
Yeah, man. This is the seventh Mr.
Seven.
Voorhees got the seven one. The seven is actually a pretty good number too. I'm not sure if you looked up the number seven. That's a pretty powerful number. So
Hmm.
let's jump into it, man. You became Mr. Voorhees in a pandemic,
Yep.
which was probably one of the most challenging things that anyone could probably face is doing something at a high level in a pandemic. So just let the viewers know what went into you becoming Mr. Voorhees. First, answer this question: what made you, or who made you, want to become Mr. Voorhees?
Man, from when I first came to Voorhees, it was high school visitation there, and I stepped into the gym and I seen all the Greeks and all this, and then at one point at the end they brought out a king and a queen, Mr. and Miss Voorhees College, and I just from the moment I saw that crown and everything, I just knew like that would be dope. I would really like to do that, and throughout my matriculation, just trying different things and going on this leadership path, I was able to make the decision that becoming king was the best role for me. And I've
Yeah.
always considered myself, friends that have known me for a while know I've called myself King Deezy for a while. So I call this after winning, the king has finally been crowned. So it was
Ah.
all a culmination of things.
Okay. Okay. The culmination of the king has
Mhm.
has has come to fruition. So answer this for me, right? So you saw that when you first got on campus, the whole king and high school visitation day, and I'm
Mhm.
sure at that time, right, you probably thinking about or thinking that the process will be the same. Your process will be in person. You probably would go around campus and put up flyers, right? You probably
Mhm.
would go in the caf and say, "Hey, vote for me, uh, Denzel Walls. Hey, I'm running for this position." Now, March comes, right? And when March 2020 comes, we shift and everything is online. Not only are we online in the aspect of classes, but now you have to run for a position in a
Right.
virtual space. So what went into the creativity of you running for Mr. Voorhees? Because I saw a video with the audio in the background. I mean, good quality. So what went into the innovation, all of that? Just let the people know what went into all of that.
First, before we get to the innovation, it had to start before the pandemic. Being who I am, being just getting to know people and being out there and being there for people. I'm able to I was able to display that I'm a good leader before it was even time. So people knew me and that. So when the pandemic hit, which shocked everyone, because I'm in preparation, trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do at this pageant? What I'm gonna wear? What talent am I going to do? All the things that typical kings and queens do. So the pandemic hits. So boom, Mr. Wright sent an email. Okay, guys, you got to start. It's time to start promoting yourself. Not really knowing how to do it, but be creative. So thankfully, I have my lovely sister who is a very creative person. She came up with the idea. Let's go around my hometown of Springfield, Georgia. Let's take pictures around all the different signs and my suits. I mean, I'm all over the place, sweating. It's hot outside. Taking these pictures, and then we went to this park where I recorded the video that you mentioned, and I did that. So while this is going on, other schools are, doing virtual things too. So it's like, okay, I like what they did, but let me flip it like this. So I came up with the idea. What if we had a Voorhees magazine, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we have a Voorhees magazine, first edition, and put myself on it with my slogan and everything. And we tried it. It worked out. People liked it, and just like I said, putting in the groundwork before I even ran, having already a following, and it was just academic at that point. Just posting
Yeah.
it, putting it out.
Yeah. So so let's give a shout out to your sister,
Yes,
the creative genius behind all of this stuff. Let's
yes.
give a
Art
shout out.
on walls. If you're watching, a lot of this had to do with you.
Give her a shout out. So we see Miss Johnson is with us, Mr. Wright. So thank you, Miss Johnson and Mr. Wright for joining us. Shout out to them being phenomenal in their areas on campus. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's go to our next question, right? Because we're talking about the innovation of your videos and your just producing everything. Literally, you became a producer in the pandemic.
Right.
You and your sister became a producer, uh, production team together. Let's talk about what comes to your mind, because I know that you had on a suit in your videos, and you were clean. You were clean. So
Oh
what
try.
comes to your mind when you hear this word or these two words, professional attire? What comes to your mind? Is there a certain suit color? Is there certain shoes? Like what does that look like for a student when you hear professional attire?
When I hear professional style, I think dark suit, blue, black, or dark gray.
There you go.
I think of a tie, not too flashy, not too bright, but it's a solid, nice tie. You can have a little, put your own little style on, but nothing too crazy. And I
Yeah.
think of so I think black dress shoes, depending on the
Yeah.
suit. Definitely a belt that goes with the tie. Having your tie, waist length, and that's what I think about professional attire.
That was good teaching right there, man. Sounds like you learned from somebody really good. That was good. So your belt needs to
Somebody.
match. So your belt needs to match your shoes, right?
Yes, sir. Of course.
So fellas, your belt. If you're watching this and you're male, your belt needs to match your shoes. And I think you said this too about how your tie shouldn't be longer than your waist.
Hmm. You
That's
want to say it
important
like this?
because yes, that's important because sometimes people have ties that's like longer than their belt length and or where their belt is, and that doesn't look good at all. So the gray suit, the black suit,
Or blue.
and the blue suit. That's the professional attire. That's good. That's good, man. That's good stuff. So since we're talking about professional attire and you're talking about what comes to your mind with professional attire, let's talk about for a quick second how important is it, since we're in the area of professionalism, how important is it to have a resume, an updated resume in a LinkedIn page? You can talk about resumes first, and then we can go to LinkedIn. But how important is it to have?
Well, it is the most important thing, especially as a college student.
Yeah, yeah,
The resume is where you put what you've done on paper, so you present it for when it's time to get a job. It is the most necessary thing you can do throughout your 4 years is develop and have a well put together resume
yeah,
because it's everything. And we're gonna talk about different things later, but all of it stems from your resume and how
yeah,
you're able to how you're able to articulate on there. And as far as LinkedIn, we use social media all the time. You use your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook. So LinkedIn is the business side of that. This is
yeah,
where you can connect with people you won't meet usually. You can just like you do on social media where you DM someone you like. Well, now you can personal message someone who works for the company you like. And
yeah.
on your LinkedIn page is where you have your specifics of your resume. But without a resume, it's hard to put together a LinkedIn. And then LinkedIn has so many different other facets that you know like getting certifications and things. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, resumes and LinkedIn's. You hear it a lot, but seriously, it is very important to have if you as you try to become a professional.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. I want you to kind of go back to LinkedIn because the stuff that you're sharing from a student's perspective is brilliant, and I hope some students are watching, and possibly they'll go back and watch it too. So it'll be great whether they go back and watch it or watch it now. But from your own personal experience, talk about how you've been able to connect with some people through LinkedIn that you probably would not have met. You know, if you had not gone on LinkedIn and created your profile. So talk about your own personal experience really quickly.
Oh man, well thanks
And even
to
and even and even Denzel, before you start, even talk about how specific words on your LinkedIn page allow certain
mhm.
people to come in and want to have conversation with you. So talk about those two things.
I'll start with that. And when you're looking for up for something, you're looking for something, you put in the keywords to bring up what you're looking for, and that's LinkedIn. So put the words on your page that an employer will look for. They look for someone who is adaptable. So make sure
Yeah,
somewhere in your LinkedIn you got adaptability. If you are looking to be a teacher, you want to have certain words that that professional teachers want to see, that someone looking to hire a teacher will want to see. So that part. And then my personal experiences with LinkedIn, I've been talking to people from IBM, the Boeings, the Wells Fargo's, and it's easier to me to do that than sending out an email. People get
yeah,
thousands of emails every day, but to a personal LinkedIn DM direct message, I mean, every time I've gotten a response. And thanks to my page, I have people who've been hitting me up that I wasn't even looking for with different opportunities. And that's just the power of having a good LinkedIn, a put together LinkedIn, and a good resume.
yeah. So Dr. Whitaker is on with us. Thank you, Dr. Whitaker, for joining us. I know you hear the crowd right now. They're going crazy. Like, oh, Dr. Whitaker is with us. They're going crazy. Everyone that's joining us, thank you for joining us. Denzel, I want to hit you with a question that I know wasn't on our list, but since we're talking about LinkedIn, it's no way that we can talk about LinkedIn and not talk about networking, right?
Mhm.
A lot of students, and we can kind of cover this really quickly, but a lot of students sometimes think that networking may just be one conversation with a person. So, say for instance, in your experience, when you've had a conversation with maybe like a person. DeAndre Hurley or Daniel Benjamin, and what is the time span that you should follow up with a person? Is it like that next week, next month, or what is that time span to kind of solidify that relationship with that person?
I would say next week at the very latest, but I mean,
Yeah,
if you look at this person or this opportunity as something you really want, hit them up next day. Hit them up, follow. Sometimes I've even followed up as soon as the meeting was over, saying, "Hey,
yeah,
thank you for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Hey, let's stay in contact." Um, Networking, you hear it before. It's not what you know, it's who you know,
yeah.
and that's true. That'll get you in the door knowing the right people and building those relationships with the right people, and that's all networking. You never know who you're talking to and what they do. So, uh, just networking, yeah, man, it is very important and key to just everything we do.
So that follow up should sometimes be that very next day after you have the conversation. Hey, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I look forward to our next meeting, or however you want
Look
to arrange that.
look at it like this. Look at it like this. Especially for example, you get this person's number. You don't wait a couple weeks just to finally text them.
Yeah,
No, you want
yeah,
to get them when you're fresh on their mind. This is the same
that's a good
thing.
point.
You
That's a
you
great
don't
point.
want to fall by the wayside. You want to while they just spoke to you, so let them know that, hey, I appreciate the time. Let's connect. There's something you said in this meeting that I've been really thinking about that I meant to ask. Things like that. So yeah, networking, following up, all that.
That's a great. That was a great example to use. I like that. Maybe I'll take that for my next conversation with somebody else. That was great. So,
Yeah.
no, that was really good. I like it. That was really good. So we talked about resumes, we talked about LinkedIn, we talked about networking, and so it, and like you said earlier, your word, the culmination of all of this. ends with something. So I'm not just articulating who I am on my resume or on my LinkedIn, and I'm not just networking to do it haphazardly, but I do it intentionally by now cultivating my elevator pitch. So let's talk about
Mhm.
elevator pitch for a second. Um, and some people may say elevator pitch differently. They may call it something else. So let's talk about that for a second. How vital, and we're going to do a little exercise really quickly after this, but how vital is it to have an elevator pitch? And yeah, just talk about that for a minute, and then we'll go to our next question.
It's important because we're able to talk about everything else. So why not be able to talk about yourself and your accomplishments? And uh, you don't want to just hand a sheet of paper to someone because you hand me a sheet of paper, the chances of me reading it, that's different. But if you're able to hand me your resume, and then but also at the same time give me your elevator pitch, explain to me what's on there and why it's relevant to me and what I'm looking for. That's a whole different thing. Imagine you saying some of those key words that we talked about that should be on your LinkedIn to someone in person. Now you got their attention. Now they're thinking about Denzel Walls, and now that they're looking at this resume differently. And that's the power of an elevator pitch, man. Being able to
Mm,
articulate what you've
yeah,
done
yeah,
um, to the specific person you're talking to.
yeah. And let me share this or ask you this really quickly. Have you had moments where you had to revisit some of the things that you have done from a different perspective because you may have missed some of the meat and potatoes, and then when you went back and said, okay, I went on this trip, or I was a part of this organization, and I actually did more things than I thought. Is it important to have a critical perspective or critical eye when you're looking at yourself?
Yeah, you got to be a critical thinker, and critical thinking is understanding that not everything is relevant to who you're talking to. So, if I'm talking to a
You're talking
human
good, man.
resource, if I'm talking to a human resource manager, yeah, I did taxes and accounting, but that's not as important as me talking about how I went on a study abroad trip in a place I've never been, and I've had to teach people at an orphanage how to do different things, being adaptable. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear leadership. They want to learn
Yeah,
how you
yeah,
adapt to different things. It's not so much about the numbers. So
yeah.
you got to be able to critically analyze who you're talking to and then critically analyze, okay, out of all the things I've done, how can I explain what I've done in a way that they want to hear, a way that's relevant to them?
Mm. This is good, man. I like what you're saying. It sounds good to me. So let's give a quick scenario, right? You're in Atlanta. You're at
Hmm. Hmm.
the NABA conference. You're at the National Association of Black Accountants. They're having a conference right now, and you just went into the career fair. There is 175 people in this career fair, and all of them are just as hungry as you are for these opportunities. You're in a line, and the line has 6 or 7 people in the line. I'm trying to paint the picture for you, Denzel. Let's go to Atlanta really quick. I'm painting the picture for you. So so it's 6 or 7 people in this line, right? And
Hmm.
so your turn is coming up. You hear the guys talking, the guys and the girls talking to the employer, and they're giving their best elevator pitch. And so in this moment, because of how packed it is, you have 60 seconds. You have 60 seconds to sell them on who you are and why you are a possible or potential asset for their company. I'm giving you 60 seconds right now, Denzel. Can you give us an example of what you're saying in 60 seconds? You don't have to really go in depth, but just an example of you being in that scenario. How would you go about saying who you are?
I'll be like, okay. Hello, my name is Denzel Walls. Nice to meet you, sir. I am a senior business administration major from Voorhees College. And during my matriculation at Voorhees College, I developed into being a great leader. And the experience of me being a leader was running to be Mr. Voorhees College. In that role, I've started different initiatives such as Kings Without a Crown, where I took young students and developed them into being young leaders. Another example of my leadership throughout my matriculation would be uh, becoming a White House scholar. In doing that, I had to compete with everyone from HBCUs around the world and then lead a group project with people I've never met and present in front of NASA. So, thanks to my time at Voorhees, I feel like I'm very, very capable for this job. And then I would, whoever I'm talking to, I would develop an ask whatever I want. I'm trying to get from them, and yeah, that's a little taste of how I
Wait,
would
wait,
know.
wait, wait, wait. You just said something. You just said something. You just said something that's critical for an elevator pitch. You said you will develop and ask for the person that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the ask look like? What does that that portion of the elevator pitch look like? Can you expound on that for a second? Because I don't think a lot of people know about that portion of the elevator pitch sometimes.
Well, like there's one thing to tell them about yourself. Okay, but why are you telling them? And that's the ask.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
talking to them because is this an internship you're looking for? Is this a grad school you're talking to? Is this someone you're
Yeah.
trying to get employed by? So, in me talking about how I'm a leader, I would then say, uh, thanks to my thanks to my leadership, now I feel like I'm a great fit for your company, and
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I would ask them like, can I set up an interview? Can we have a meeting? Can I get your LinkedIn so we can stay in touch? Things like that. That's how
Are
you
there any
end up.
opportunities?
Yeah, that's how you round. That's how you end the elevator pitch. That's how it
Yeah.
should end.
Yeah. No, that was great, man. Great. Kudos to you. That was great. Great
Thank you,
job
thank you, thank you, thank
in the 60 seconds. So before we move, let's go back really quickly because you gave a 60-second elevator pitch, but I want to know what went into your mind. Did you start off the elevator pitch and you said I have some core values about myself that if I connect a word with a moment, I'll be able to articulate this elevator pitch effectively. But so what went into your mind? Because everybody can't say that they can do an elevator pitch 60 seconds off the top of their head, right? Even though we had this discussion already and feel comfortable. So what went into that just quick program thinking?
you. It goes into the groundwork. It's not elevator pitch. It's something you should practice for. You should try this, and then just knowing yourself.
Yeah,
What do you base yourself off of? Do you consider yourself a leader? Do you consider yourself someone who's adaptable? Do you consider yourself a team player? Now, if those are your core values, then when you're in that heat of the moment, you should know, okay, what's about great teamwork. So you should think
mm,
you're able to go to the things you've done. Uh, if you've done group projects a lot, or you've done volunteer work, like those things should be able to come like that because
yeah,
now you have uh, a part about yourself that you know you can expound on,
yeah.
and that's how it should be. But it comes with practice. It's not, what I'm saying. Thanks to you, I've been able to practice this many times. So I've you should work on it, man. You work on anything else you like to do. So why not work on something that's gonna really benefit you?
No, man, that's great, man. Let's go to a little ease question really quickly as we're kind of transitioning in this conversation. So we had Henrietta Brower on the podcast earlier this week, and
Hmm.
as we are aware that was your opponent in the Ox Core Wars.
He
Um,
was. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that. How was that experience? Because some of the stuff that he shared, I think it was really phenomenal to hear. But how was that being in a virtual space in a homecoming battle or during the week of homecoming and you're battling Henry Adam, you have Miss Timmons on stage, you have Farnsworth Bentley on the screen with you too. So at that moment, like I told Henry Adam, you were a celebrity. So
Right.
how was that experience and what was it like for you being a part of that?
I've always been a little bit of a showman, and then I had the fortunate ability not to see any crowd, so you're able to really sink in and
Right.
just be yourself.
Yeah.
Um, Man, it was dope, man. One thing about me, my friends, I love music, um, so it's very passionate. So this was a great opportunity to beat up on Henry Adam, who's a good friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and we're very competitive. So I wanted to definitely go hard, but it was a dope experience, man. Um, I would love to do it again anytime
Yeah.
anyone wants to see me. Uh, you will be dealt with, and
Wow.
I loved it. I thought it
Well,
was dope, and I really liked it.
so you were able to keep your crown.
Oh yeah, it's not going anywhere. That can't happen.
It's not going anywhere. That's hilarious, man. I don't want to end the conversation with this question, but I have two more questions for you. Um,
Okay.
with you being the White House, um, initiative scholar and studying abroad, how has that cultivated you into the student that you are today?
It made me find new passions. For a while, I thought I was just I was gonna be a finance accountant, type of
Yeah,
guy. But I learned through those experiences, especially the going overseas and
yeah,
planting the seed international, that my passion is more into recruiting and training and developing
mm,
people. Uh,
yeah,
Going to those orphanages and seeing all these people who wanted opportunities and that is not being there. I just saw myself in a role where I can travel over here or I can give opportunities to people who are less advantaged. And yeah, man, just being around all these different people and networking isn't just talking to a CEO. Networking is also talking to someone who may be on the same level as you or a little
this
bit
is good,
above you. And that's what I did at with the White House Initiative Scholars, being around all these different leaders. And now we connected, we follow each other. I see what they're doing. I'm able to say, hey, how you doing? And now that I'm Mr. Voorhees, people I went on that trip with, now they're kings and queens as well. And like
man.
it's
Wow.
all we all came from the same place, and it's dope. But yeah, you're doing these things. You find the silver lining, man. And you find different things
Yeah,
about yourself, and I was able to find that in those two trips.
yeah. So what are some things, and we can kind of talk about this briefly. But was that your first time traveling abroad with Planting the Seed International?
Yeah. So the first time I ever got on a plane was going to White House with the White House Initiative. So
Okay,
that was to DC. So that's not a long flight. To
right,
going to Monrovia, Liberia, which is many long flights.
right,
And that
right,
was my
right.
first time ever doing anything like that.
Yeah. So overall, um, from your entire experience while you were in Monrovia, Liberia, what would you say was one thing that really just, I mean, shook you or either changed your perspective, changed your life almost? What was maybe one or two things you could say that kind of changed you?
One thing, just seeing how they live and how they operate, it made me come home and be like, okay, I'm not taking anything for granted because I've seen
Yeah,
uh, how people live when they are without, and how they have this hustle mentality. How despite that they don't have the opportunities that we have, but you can't tell they're still happy, they're still living life. So what do we
there you
over
go.
here really have to be sad about? And
Yeah,
also going to the orphanages and the high schools, going to the orphanages and the high schools, just seeing how they want opportunities, how they want to do, and just thinking about all these people that I know who had the opportunities and didn't really
yeah,
care about it. And it just really changes your outlook on your life and just life in general.
yeah. Can't take anything for granted.
No, no, definitely not.
Yeah. So we have a quick question from Mr. Wright. He's up here. So Mr. Wright says this: what advice would you give a young man contemplating being the eighth Mr. Voorhees?
What advice would I give them? And I would say go for it, man. It's an amazing opportunity. These are once in a lifetime opportunities that presented for you at Voorhees College. Being king of a school, if that's not enough for you to even just fathom you being that, then just taking the chance that you get the lives you get to influence,
Yeah,
the different things you get to just be a part of. The whole. It's way more than coordination. Your coordination is nice to be honored like that, but to have people, your peers, look at you and say, "I want you to represent us."
mm,
To me, there's no better pat on the back. There's no better feeling.
yeah,
To be honest. So if you're contemplating it, please reach out to me. I'll definitely help you in any way that I can. And the election time is coming soon. So and I know there's some great young leaders out here that are worried, maybe thinking, I don't know if I should do it. You absolutely should. You got one chance to do things like this. So go for
there you go. It's from Mr. Voorhees himself. He said, "Go for it." He said, "Go for it, Mr. Wright." I'm not sure if you heard him say that. Whoever is contemplating, tell him. He said, "Go for it." Denzel, you said something earlier uh, as you answered this question about influencing your peers, and
it.
my question is,
how have you been able to influence your peers as a student leader, as Mr. Voorhees? And I think you said one of your initiatives earlier, but what have been some ways creatively that you've been able to influence those that are on campus now or those that weren't on campus before?
Influence, it's in everything you do. Just even by the way you dress. You will never catch me dressing in white tees and just wife beaters, just looking any kind of way. Always being well kept. You shouldn't see that. You're a college student.
Yeah.
Also being well mannered, being well behaved, things like that. And then just being bold. That's one way to influence by stepping out and doing. Like
Yeah.
why, wondering why he's doing it, and then being someone who's personable, not acting like you're above people, but you know, being there with someone, being someone people can talk to.
Yeah.
That's one of the many ways I've done this. And then with my initiative, Kings Without a Crown, giving young people the opportunity to, do different things they wouldn't do, and just being close to me and seeing how I operate.
So Kings Without a Crown, what is that? How did that start? Where did the name come from?
Well, my co-advisor, Mr. Frederick, he helped me come up with this initiative, this program to help develop young men, young black men, to want to take on these leadership roles.
Okay.
We all know that when we have elections, you have a lot of women, ladies that run, but the guys always seem to be, coming short. So Kings Without a Crown is basically saying, uh, it's the training
Mm,
to become a leader, become a king. And so one day
yeah.
you can have this crown and see what it's all about at an early
Mm,
stage.
okay. I like that. So when does this training start? Where and
Well,
where can they possibly sign up?
we started a little bit during the pandemic, but now that we're all on campus, we get to really, go forward with it. I think early February we're going to send out another link for people to sign up. We already have some young men. We have about 5 men already who signed up,
Okay.
and we're going to
Okay.
get the ball rolling soon.
Okay. So sounds good. Kings Without
So
a
you're going to
Crown.
see it. It's going to be
Yeah.
out.
So Kings Without a Crown, fellas, our young men, if you're watching or if you see the playback, make sure you get in contact with Mr. Denzel Walls, Kings Without a Crown. He's preparing you all, developing you all to run for these positions and be adequately prepared. All right. So here's our last question. We're on our last question now, Denzel, and this is our closing question. If you could give your freshman self any advice, what would you say to the freshman Denzel Walls?
I would tell freshman Denzel Walls that it's okay not to know what you're doing. I think a
Mm,
lot of us spend every day trying to direct our own path. You know what I'm saying? Trying to, do just make things happen on your own, and just take your time, take advantage of the different opportunities that are before you, and the path will create itself as long as you're doing the right things. And that's what's happening. And I'm a true testament to that. I'm a strong believer. I have a strong faith, and with that, with my prayer and my work, things have opportunities have been laid before me that I could have never even imagined. If you'd have asked freshman Denzel, if you'd have been going to Liberia, if you'd have been meeting the president of the United States, I'd say I wouldn't believe it. But uh, that's the whole point of not trying to know everything, and not trying to direct your own path.
that's a powerful statement, man. That's a powerful statement. You said take advantage of the opportunities before you, and a path will create itself. You need to quote that. You need to take that and possibly make sure that you get your credit for that one, man. That was pretty powerful. Take advantage of the opportunities before you, and the path will create itself. Very powerful, man. Very powerful. So, any closing words, man? We thank you for coming on the Good Trouble podcast. I didn't say it earlier, but those that are watching, we got the name Good Trouble from John Lewis. He said, if you're going to get in any trouble, make sure that you get in good trouble. And that's why we bring people on to get in good trouble by explaining and informing us about the great things that they've been doing and that they plan to do. So, Denzel, any more words that you would like to share before we close today?
Yeah, let's stay safe, everyone. Let's wear your masks. Let's stay sanitized, man. Let's get out of this pandemic. I want my 20s back. I know you want your early teens and 20s back. 30s, 40s, 50s, depending on your age. Let's do what we got to do to get it back, man. And just be safe and be happy, man.
Yes, sir. Be safe, be happy, wear your mask so we can get out of this pandemic as soon as possible. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back again next week. If you have liked what you've seen today, please subscribe, please like, so you can get the notification. We want to make sure that you all are watching. We have the 7th Mr. Voorhees College with us today. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you soon.